I think we can get started. It looks like most people have arrived. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Elisa Velardo. I'm Deputy Commissioner for DDS, and it's great to see everyone here today. This meeting will be recorded, and if you have comments, or questions, we'll ask that you hold them to the end. We have a number of presenters, and we want to make sure that we get through all the presentations. Another option would be to note your questions in the chat, and that way we'll have them all queued up. And after our presenters have had the opportunity to speak, we'll dive into the questions. Today's topic is community companion homes, and this is a service option that's near and dear to my heart. I've had the opportunity to work with our statewide community companion home team, both on the DDS end and our private provider community, and just absolutely love this option for people that are interested. And so you're in for a treat. Today we've got some phenomenal presentations lined up, and I will turn it over to Tom Marinac, who's going to give an overview of community companion homes. Tom is the CCH manager for DDS North Region. Welcome, Tom.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So yeah, my name is Tom Marinac, and I'm the manager for the CCH program in the North region. And I also probably want to introduce my colleagues who are in the West and the South. There's Tim Brazel. Tim, if you want to just say hi real quick.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's very nice to meet you.
Perfect. And then we also have Jill Kepler, who's also the manager for the South region CCH program.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
So, so just here, I'm going to pull up, I have a quick little PowerPoint presentation I'm going to kind of go through just to kind of give the overview of what the CCH program actually entails. And then we'll get probably more detailed as we kind of go on and we hear from, agencies that work in CCH as well as some of the CCH licensees themselves. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull up this quick little PowerPoint. Hopefully I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So let me know if you could see it. Okay. Hold on one second here. Okay. And then I'll pull this up. Okay. Did it come up?
Yeah, it's good.
Yes, we can see it, Tom. Thanks.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so my background before I became part of DDS's family in the CCH program was I used to actually work in therapeutic foster care. Okay, so these are kids that got in trouble or certain situations happen with families where they need to be removed and they had to go into DCF foster care. So everybody knows what DCF foster care is, and a lot of times folks think of CCH when they say, Tom, is CCH kind of like DCF foster care? And I said, well, kind of, in the sense that it's a family with a room, but it's way different in the sense that, children being removed from their homes is typically not a good thing. But when it comes to CCH, it's a voluntary program. Okay, so that's the main difference, that it's like the individual has to have agreement, the biological family, as well as the CCH licensee. But in essence, with that whole hey, they're a family, I'm living with a family, they have a room provided for me, that kind of is similar. Okay, so basically a CCH licensee, the reason why also I think why it was such an awesome program when I got involved with it was we would think the old school DCF foster parents were like, wow, they've been with the same kid for 3 years, because the children age out. These were typically teenagers. They would age out and they would move into their own apartment. Maybe they reunite with their families. And when I came in here, I was like, are you kidding me? Someone's been in with a CCH for 35 years. Our longest home right now is going 37 years, actually going on 38. And the average placement for a CCH is about 10 years. When you actually put them all together, about 10 years the person lives. So when I was shocked by that when I first came over, I was like, oh my gosh, these folks, they actually really do become part of the family. So you say okay, so DDS, we license homes to provide care and services in their home to adults with intellectual disabilities. The homes are licensed by DDS to make sure health and safety and social needs of the individual are being met. And a matching process occurs to ensure that there's a successful placement. Some of the key elements for CCHs are we want to make sure that they're providing a safe and nurturing environment, that the person maintains a meaningful involvement with their CCH family, their biological family, as well as in the community. They help the individuals learn life skills and access community resources. They ensure that their health, safety, and medical needs are being met and that the care complies with DDS regulations. We also encourage the CCH licensees to take the person out and make sure they're engaging in activities that are appropriate for the person's, religion, age, gender, and culture. And you might say, and a lot of times people say, geez, Tom, like, what makes this person so qualified to be a CCH? Like, can anybody just call up? So say a licensee calls me up, or a potential licensee, they'll say, Tom, I really heard about the CCH program. I want to get involved. What do I need to do? So they have to go through a whole extensive application process. They have to provide proof that they're in good health. Hold on one second. My kids just got off the bus. I apologize. Hold on one second here. Oh my gosh, always good timing. Always got good timing here. They go through, they have to provide proof that they're in good health. They have to provide 3 written references from people who are not related. They have to go through extensive background checks, DCF checks. They have to go through like daycare checks for occupants in the home over age 18. We conduct a home study there where we interview the applicant and the family. The home is put through a comprehensive health and fire safety checklist. And then at the final stage, after all that's kind of complete and all the paperwork's in, a quality reviews person goes out to the home and they actually go through a whole different inspection to make sure that the environment is safe and that the CCH applicant has been properly trained. And Jill and Tim, feel free, if I miss something, you could just jump right in, okay? Hold on a second here, let me.
Absolutely. We'll keep you on point, Tom.
Okay, so listen, okay, I'll do the best. I'm doing the best I can over here. So training, that's another thing folks will usually ask me. They'll say, Tom, what training do what training does these folks have? Come on, like, it is just any old person can become a licensee. And I'm like, you know what? They have to go through a really extensive training. And I'm sure the licensees, when they get a chance to talk at the end of this presentation, like it's no joke. Like they literally have to do so much. They have to go through an overview of the DDS programs and like the population we serve. They have to go through abuse and neglect, program development, how to interact with families, language, communication needs. They have to do extensive safety trainings for CPR, first aid, infection control, medical and emergency procedures, positive behavioral supports, and the DDS policies and procedures. And also, I think what families sometimes wonder too is they say, they won't know how to work with my child. And that's where the biological family comes in, because we look to the biological families or natural families as the experts on their person, because they are. And we look to them to help our folks get specialized training on like the needs of the person, routines, likes, dislikes, all that kind of good stuff. So we actually do individualized trainings with the licensees depending on who the person is moving in the home. So it's never just kind of a cookie cutter, place this person with this home. It really is an extensive matching process. So what are some of the responsibilities of the licensee? So this is where it comes in too. I mean, they have a lot of responsibilities. Besides providing a loving relationship with the person, they have to provide a room in the house that complies with DDS safety standards, certain size requirements. They have to maintain financial records, doctor's appointments, make sure that there's plenty of food in the house, personal care, transportation, clinical appointments, make sure there's outings in the community, constant upkeep of the home to maintain up to DDS's standards. They have to participate in IP meetings, quarterly meetings, meetings at the day program, et cetera. So they're actually really in charge of an extensive kind of a holistic approach to having the person live with them. And like, a lot of the folks we get as licensees have I found just in my own anecdotal data collection is that a lot of the folks we get to become licensees have worked in the field. They have relatives that been a part of DDS. They have some sort of connection to DDS in some way. Because I mean, we're trying to get the word out by advertising, but not a lot of folks have heard of the Community Companion Home Program as opposed to like say DCF foster care. So, but the word is so slowly starting to spread through the community, and like I said, we get people that have worked in the field and then they want to do more. They actually really enjoy living with DDS folks and they want to keep doing it. So what's the matching process? So basically what would happen is we would get a referral from say a case manager saying, hey, listen, this is what typically happens. Mom and dad are getting older, maybe diagnosed with some sort of terminal illness, some kind of emergency kind of happens. Something happened with mom and dad. And they say, listen, the individual really isn't meant to live on their own because they don't have enough skills, but they also don't meet the needs of say living in a group home. They live with a family their whole life. And that's where CCH comes in. So the case manager might say to the biological family, hey, this CCH program might be appropriate for your son or daughter. So they would send the referral over to one of us managers. We would look through the packet. You guys all know, like, hey, we know the person's whole life story. We'll like go through that whole packet and then we'll look for all the available homes, and we try to keep the person regionally close so they could stay and say if they're going to a day program in Enfield, we want to make sure they could stay in Enfield. Or if they're down in New Haven, we want to make sure that they have a home that provides transportation over to that program. We like to keep people in their geographical location if we can, so then we send out the packets to the different homes and they get a chance to read up on the person. And this is where CCH is really special too, which is really neat, is that a lot of times the folks, when I'm talking to the families, they'll say, Tom, like, I want to know about this family. And that's where that home study comes in, because when we interview the family and we go through this extensive home study, we go through their likes, their dislikes, where they grew up, their cultural norms, if they go to church, if they don't go to church, where they like to go for fun, where they like to go on vacation, if they have pets, if they plan on having more kids, if their kids are moved out, why do they get in the field? Just a whole litany of different things that the DDS as individuals, families, we encourage you to read their home studies. So that way you can know a little bit about the family before you actually go and meet them. So like we said, we match the individual based on similar interests and backgrounds. And then we say, hey, so what do you think about, say, the Smith family? I know I'm just throwing out, names. And the person goes, geez, I really like reading their home study. They sound like a great family. They're right. They're close by my day program. They're close by my biological family. That's great. I'm not too far from home. I actually know the area. Then we set up maybe a visit to go out. Maybe if they don't feel comfortable going to home, maybe go to like Dunkin' Donuts, get a coffee, meet the person, maybe get a little chit chat, see how things are, see if they match interests, that type of stuff. Or they go to the CCH licensee's home, check out the bedroom, check out the house, meet the different family members if there are folks still living in the home, meet the pets if there's pets there, maybe have dinner. And if that goes really well, we'll say, hey, why don't you try and spend the night and see how it kind of is being away from mom and dad's home for a little bit, see how that kind of goes. They might stay for an overnight, they might stay for a weekend. And then they say, geez, you know what? I really enjoy this family. And the licensee goes, man, I really back here with you. What's that? Oh, maybe I just got unmuted. Okay, I'll go back. So they'll say, hey, geez, I really enjoyed the licensee. And the licensee says, geez, I really enjoyed the spending time with that person. So when could we set up the move-in date? And that's what happens. A final placement decision is made. We set up a transition meeting between the individual, the person's biological family, and the CCH licensee, and we set up a move-in date for the person. And I think a lot of times families they get really nervous about and I could see that, because you're like, geez, they've been living in my home their whole lives. Now they're gonna be living with a family. Like, what am I just supposed to drift off and I don't really talk to them or see them? And that's not the case. Of course, every family is different. We have a CCH where their family lives in Florida and they call into meetings. As long as I've been here, they've been calling into meetings. We have folks where they leave on a Friday night to go back to their biological family's home, and then they come back Sunday to the CCH licensees. It really does. That's what I like about the CCH program, is it's very specialized and individualized for the licensees as well as the people living in the home, the DDS individuals living in the home. It just comes down to kind of the team process of like how that CCH runs. So who comprises the CCH team? Oh my gosh, wait, minimize this. Who comprises the CCH? Who comprises the CCH team? So first off, the biological family, they're the experts. They know the person. They know the ins and outs of the DDS individual. We want to make sure that all their expertise goes into the team because we're just learning about this person for the first time and getting to know them. There's a CCH licensee. They have a CCH case manager. There's a nurse that's involved in the team that the licensee can call anytime about questions or concerns about the person. We also have a behaviorist that's typically involved if the person's on medication, but we also bring the behaviorist in anyways, just because say if the person moves in, they're a little depressed or have a little adjustment, little adjustment, anxiety and stuff. We can always bring in the behaviorist too to help out and make sure that, hey, the CCH licensee is doing everything appropriately with the person and helping the person feel comfortable moving in. Because like I said, if you've been living at mom and dad's house for 30, 40, 50 years, and now all of a sudden you're going to be going to a new environment, that could be kind of, nerve wracking. And we have a monthly monitoring person who's the technical assistant of the team. So what actually happens is that monthly technical assistant goes in the house minimum of once a month. But say when the person first moves in, they might go out there a couple times the first week, then maybe weekly, then maybe bi-weekly, and then monthly. And what they do is they go in, they check to make sure that the person's entitlements are all set. They have to keep track of any financial transaction over $20 with receipts. They have to keep track of like the person's personal inventory, anything over a certain dollar amount. Like say they buy a TV, they want to make sure it's on their list of stuff that they own. So that way, if they ever move, they have all that stuff to go with them. They check to make sure there's fire drills. They check to make sure any doctor's appointments that have gone on. They have to get like, consult sheets, any counseling appointments that have gone on. They checked it. They say like, hey, any activities? You guys go to the movies? You guys go on any shows? You go on any day trips? How's things going at day program? They go on any outings? They do this very extensive kind of checklist, and they go through, and it's kind of like a meeting with the family and the person to make sure that everybody's happy and everybody's kind of on the right track. We even have a quality management folks that go out. So what happens is when the person first gets licensed and a person's placed in the home, a quality management review will occur within 4 to 6 months to make sure that appropriate services are provided. And then after that annually, and the quality person looks at the individual plan, they look at the healthcare, safety, finances, human rights, et cetera, and they kind of go through. And then pretty much they just kind of live their lives. And we try not to be, a lot of times, like I said, like we're always there available if they have any needs or questions, or they need guidance, or they need services or anything like that. But most of the time, the CCH licensees, and you'll probably hear from the families that volunteered to come on here and talk a little later, that they kind of just are living their life, and the person just kind of comes in. They go to birthday parties, they go to different holidays, they might go home for Christmas with their family or Hanukkah or something, but then they come back for like the CCH's, family get together or whatever. So yeah, and I think that's the most shocking thing. And I've only been here, a little over 7 years with the CCH program. And I hope it comes through in my, the way I'm talking, is that it's such a great program. And like seeing that we usually do a couple events during the year. We do like a big dinner dance. We usually do a cookout, not since COVID, but we're going to be trying to get back on track this spring to get that back together. And when you see all the families come together with the individuals, and they you hear about all their stories and kind of what they're going through and all the things they're doing together. It really recharges the batteries of like, wow, I actually work for a really great program, and it's a really great service that, I wish more people knew about it. That's why I said, that's why I guess we're doing this and we're getting the word out there. But I don't know, Tim or Jill, do you want to give any closing statements on that before I end the little slideshow?
Actually, I think we're close to our time based on the number of presenters we have.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I want to thank you, Tom, and I just want to acknowledge that we do have a number of CCH team members. So Jill and Tim from the West region and South region. But we also have assistant managers, our licensing team on the call. I see there are case managers for CCH. So Again, hold your questions, but we have a wealth of resources within this meeting format for any particular question you might have. And I've got to say, if you had any doubt about enthusiasm for CCH, I think our first presentation has put that to rest. So thank you
Sorry
so
it went
much.
so long. I should have been shorter. I apologize about that.
No, you gave a great overview. I really appreciate it. I just know that we have a number of presentations and I want to make sure we have enough time for everyone. So at this point, I will turn it over to our team at Heart United. Christy and Elaine, are you there?
I'm trying.
Okay.
There we go. Hello, I'm Christy. We're calling in today from Heart United. Thank you for the introduction, Tom. That was actually really good. And thank you everybody for coming in this evening so that we can share a little bit about what we do. So everything that Tom spoke about, the licensing, the training, the responsibilities, the meeting, the matching, Heart United does that from beginning to end to support individuals, DDS individuals and licensees who would like to open their home to DDS individuals. And we're very happy today. We have lots of individuals that we could have chosen from, but I think we got a good crew today to really share what we do, share our passion of every day. This is what it looks like every day. So I'm going to hand this over to Elaine, who is our recruiter. And then we also have Sherry and Diane. Can you guys see?
Your background is
We
blurred,
see
Christy.
you,
You might wanna.
Christy.
Yep, I'm going to try to change my background. Why that's on there.
Christy, if I may, if you might see somewhere on your phone somewhere that says device settings, you might have to click something that looks like a dot symbol. Once you click that, you might see device settings, and then you should be able to adjust your background settings.
You will see a link that says apply background effects. If you click those three dots, and if you click apply background effects, you can remove, you can just click the
There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elaine from Heart United. I'm here with Sherry and Diane. Diane has been a community companion home provider since 2016, and she has agreed to talk today a little bit about her experience. Diane, how can you tell me a little bit about your experience of being a community companion home provider?
I sure can. I think that one of the words I use, now look at that. One of the words that I've used often is stupendous. Whenever I talk to someone, because the support group is amazing. They cover every angle. They keep me on my toes. They allow me to be who I am. And as Elaine said, I was told about CCH homes, CCH. And I went to a church one Sunday, and there was a young girl there that had special needs. And I thought, I could do that. I could do what they're doing. I could make a difference in somebody's life. So I got on the computer, checked out some things, like what I saw with CCH. Veronica at the time came right over, filled me in on what it was, and I was getting really excited. And I knew that this was the right place for me to be. As it was stated, I was cleared, I was approved in 2016, but I did not get anyone until 2018. And the reason for that is Heart is very concerned, not just finding someone, but finding the right person, the right fix. So it's a long-term situation. And I really have appreciated that.
Thank you, Diane. And I think your relationship with Sherry really shows how that work does pay off. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, thank you so much for talking about it, talking to everyone today. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience in a community companion home? what you like best about?
I have freedom. I learned how to cook. I learned how to wash. I learned how to use a microwave. I'm just happy here. I feel comfortable here. Diane's a new part of my life. And Hart has done a great deal for me today.
It sounds to me like you've learned a lot since
Yes.
moving into a community companion home. Do you want
Yes.
to talk about that a little bit? In terms of washing clothes and home alone, just in general, being more independent?
Well, I like the CCH home because it's freedom. I've learned how to do different things. I can be home 4 hours alone, which is good.
Congratulations.
And if I need anything from Diane, I just give her a buzz.
Right?
And
Yeah. And so you've really taken your cooking skills to a point where you actually hosted a dinner for 6 people, a dinner party.
and I did stuffed peppers, water salad, and I did the peanut butter cookies with chips.
Fantastic. That's great. And so Sherry wanted to show everyone some points in the community companion home that are special to Sherry. And so Sherry, would we like to go over to the first?
Sure.
Yeah. So the first item is actually Sherry's refrigerator. The front of Sherry's refrigerator is painted with chalk paint, and Sherry and Diane communicate a lot through this refrigerator. They write little notes to each other, whether it's daily, monthly, weekly. Sherry, can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, I put thank you for everything that Diane has done for me and my new life. So I put Diane's my buddy, Grandma Kitty, Marcia and Tom, Seymour, Honey Bear, and Piglet. And then I drew another one saying welcome home, Diane, because she was on vacation for 2 weeks. And I missed it, but
Right.
that's okay. I did good.
And so I think there's another door over here that you wanted to show everybody. So this is Diane's bedroom door, and Sherry makes a lot of things for Diane. She's very proud of these things. And Sherry, would you like to talk a little bit about?
Well, that's me cooking my macaroni and cheese in my pot.
Okay.
I went to the Kuhn, the 60 years for Kuhn, and I've been working there. I did that
Fantastic.
parade. I colored a picture. I went down the slide, which was
Wow.
good.
Can you talk about these collages that you make for Diane?
I have gnomes up here. I have birds. I have ducks. Yeah.
Yeah.
The plants I put in between. I
Right.
made another collage with little funny things.
Yeah. Things that you think that Diane would
would
really
like,
enjoy.
enjoy.
Diane just wanted everyone to know how much time you put into the things that you make for her.
Yes.
Yeah. And so again, and this is how they communicate very well. All right. Do you want to go down to your next exhibit?
I made boats. And
You did this
I went
painting?
to a painting class in Nutmeg. And the lady showed us the different colors to mix in with the paint. And I decided to do my boats orange, purple, and yellow and orange. And then for my anchors, I decided to make hearts.
That is lovely. Do you want to go to your room and show everybody? Sherry is quite the collector. And so Sherry has gathered all these collections that she wanted to show you. This is her room. She chooses to decorate it however she wants.
I have Minnie Mouse I got from Florida, my teddies, my ducks. I have my baby, Betsy's from Ashley Drake, which I love.
Right.
She's new. I got my snowman out and I'm gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
My owl clock and my owls.
And so
I have a collection of everything. Let's put
you
it
sure do. And so one of the thing about the collection is that within this collection, there's some souvenirs of different places that you've been since moving into a community companion home. Would you like to share a little bit about that? The different places?
I went to Maine. I went to New Hampshire. New Hampshire. I went to Nottingham, New Hampshire. I went to the science place. I went peach picking with Diane at Lyman Orchards.
And what other kind of fruit? Apple?
Apples, we went apple picking.
And then what'd you do?
Make apple pie.
And what else did you do? There was one more thing I think you wanted to mention about going to a concert.
I went to an AC/DC concert.
And how was that?
It was fun, and I was rocking, and I was rolling, and I was having fun.
All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for inviting us into your home and sharing. And I thank Diane as well. And we'll be here to the end of the forum if you have any questions.
Thanks.
Thank you, Diane and Laura and Sherry and Christy and Elaine. I appreciate the tour, and I love the room. Your room just brings a smile. All of the great places you've been and all the momentums you've brought back. Somebody put in the chat, love your energy, beautiful. So thank you for a great presentation. All right, next up we have Joanne Melise, who's going to share with us two stories, David and Laura's stories. So welcome, Joanne.
Hi, thank you so much. I need to know if you can, is it showing up?
We see you.
But no PowerPoint yet.
Sometimes it takes a moment. You are a presenter, so it should come up.
Is it showing yet?
Not yet.
Do you want Joe to put it up?
Yeah, that'll be fine. I'm not seeing where I can share it.
Whose
The
story would
first
you like
one
to
on
begin
Laura.
with?
Oh, the little box with the upward arrow. Do you see that?
It's not highlighted, the share.
Oh,
Okay, I'll go ahead and share. Just give me one moment.
did you want to have David or Laura's story first?
Laura's, please.
Laura's story, Joe. Well,
Okay.
there we go.
And I'm assuming you're gonna, yeah, make it big. So I'm gonna start. Okay, I'm assuming everyone can see it because I can see it. I'll just tell you, Joe, when to move ahead. This is a story of a woman that we first came to love, known as Miss Laura. Next slide. She had been referred to us at Living Innovations, that she was in living with another agency and had a crisis. And next slide, she was facing the possibility of hospice. She was a woman who needed total care. She had difficulty walking. Most of the time she was in a wheelchair. She had been in and out of hospitals and had even, been in there for severe dehydration and need of nursing home rehab. And next slide. One of the reasons I chose to share the story of Laura with you is that people tend to have a perception of who can do CCH. And my opinion is anyone can do a CCH if we have the right match. So this is the Laura that we first met before she came to CCH with us. And since moving into the CCH, her life has blossomed. She's learned how to sign, she dances, she has no problem doing stairs. She's been on vacations and gone places. Next slide. She's had a pretty full life. When we've asked the people in her life, what is she like now that she's in a CCH? I just highlighted a few comments for you that she's interacting more with people in her extended family. Next slide. Her folks at the day supports told an interesting story of seeing Laura out in the community with her CCH provider, and kind of they were spying on her, but it was all natural and innocent. And they were just shocked to see the amount of respect and kindness that was happening between the two of them. Next slide. And just another comment that people noticed the change and that she was doing so well. Next slide. Again, more comments that she was blossoming. She's more alert. It's been it was a great move for her. Next slide. And this one I love because it shows her engaged with the CCH family out in the community and looking beautiful. Next slide. that was the end. This is a story in two parts because Laura lived for about 2 years with her CCH provider, and you can see this is not the same woman that we first met. Next slide. But as you, some things don't work out well, and it's fabulous that when they do, and most of the CCHs I'm familiar with last a long time, but changes happen and people's lives change. So after 2 years of her living with this home provider, the CCH provider that did a fabulous job with her, the relationship came to an end. The person couldn't do it anymore, so we looked for a new match for her. And again, it's matching, as Hart mentioned, as Tom mentioned, it's real important. We don't place people. Next slide. So we were able to match Laura with somebody that she knew from who had provided respite to her, and there was love. And so Laura lives with Bernice, and I think you can get a sense of how happy they are together. Next slide. One of the things, again, in matching, you look for what do they have in common. They both love to dance. They especially love to hug. Bernice is a great cook. They like watching TV and being together. And she's very good at now communicating her needs. Even though she has communications challenges and ambulation challenges, Bernice knows her well, and they read each other. Next slide. And there is love. She's even has more energy than before, and that's with aging and medical fragility. She's having fun. She's found her new home with Bernice, and it's really great. Next slide. And I'll just end this short little story where there's nothing as good as a good home and a great hug, and they are both great huggers. So that ends, I think that's the last slide here. Can forward it one more. I think that's the end. Good. Again, just to open your minds is who can do a CCH? Anyone, if we find the right match. And now I'm going to share, or Joe's going to share with us the story of David. And here's what's really cool. Here is David. David is here with his home provider, Joanne, and the coordinator, Tricia, who works. David just raised his hand. And we're going to be telling your story, David. So thank you for letting us share your story. And David came from a little different circumstance than Laura's story. David came from one loving family into another one. Next. David lived with his very loving, wonderful family his whole life. I'm not going to read it, but David has some significant health and behavioral challenges. And one of the things we know about David, which is familiar with a lot of folks with autism, is that he has great difficulty with change. Next. And while he was living with his parents, some of the things that were happening were frequent seizures, uncontrolled access to eating too much food. I think I have that problem sometimes. And his parents were aging and they had health concerns of their own. So the next thing was to think about possibly a CCH. Next. Well, David was at day programs. There were some issues too. This is before he came to us. He was at a very large active day program, which works for some people, but it was noisy and a little chaotic for him. And he used to leave a lot. And sometimes he would do things that would hurt himself. And I think those are both pretty indicative of not being happy where he was. Next slide. So he needed help. So at age 34, a gentleman who did not like change was referred to for a CCH. Next. Cannot emphasize one of the big differences about CCH versus foster care, as Tom mentioned, or other types of care. Where you live is a choice, and it's got to feel right for both David and the CCH provider. We've had experience as an agency in doing matching. We try never to do a placement. And the cool thing about it is all the parties have to be involved in making this work. As Tom said, the family has to be involved, the individual certainly, and it has to feel right and be a good fit for the provider. Next. And here we are, and you're seeing them live on screen and on the PowerPoint. This is a great fit, and Joanne loves David, and they have found a second family. Oh, there they are, fist bumping. Next. So when a CCH works, there's a wonderful integration between what I call the family of origin and the CCH, or the family of choice. Joanne helps David purchase gifts for his family. And in 2020, she made this fabulous book for David with all the people in his life and for him to enjoy. So that's a great gift that she made for him. Next. Some of the changes that have happened since David joined the home, he used to have frequent infections, and they came from irritations from shaving, and he had frequent seizures. Since living with Joanne, she's helped get the skin infections treated. He no longer has them. He doesn't have seizures regularly. He's only had one after a COVID vaccination. So he's doing really, really well, healthy in many ways. Next. David has a whole new world. He still has his family that he loves, but he joins Joanne and her friends for Sunday football at different people's homes. He has relationships. This is one of Joanne's friends that he loves to be with, and she loves to be with him. And he has his own new, broader relationships. And this is what we would expect of any adult who leaves the home, who is launched from his family home. You move somewhere else, you get new relationships, your life gets bigger. And this has happened for David thanks to Joanne's support. Next. This is him going, I think, with one of his respite providers, and I think it might have been the first time at the ocean or the shore. It was wonderful for him. Next. And he has become part of Joanne's family. Here he is doing things that a family normally does, going and exploring and seeing some sights. He's part of the family, and the family dog, he loves Izzy, and I think Izzy loves him. Next. And Joanne is an extraordinary provider, and I would say that all of our CCH providers are pretty extraordinary, but look what she did. She created a whole sensory room for him because this is a place that he finds enjoyable. So she created a portion of her home just for him. Next. So from a gentleman who didn't like change at all, he's had change. He moved from the large day program that was chaotic and was upsetting to him to a small one. Since moving there, we're not seeing self-injurious behavior or incontinence. Sometimes he goes for what we call in the profession elopement, but he's going for a walk. So he just needs, and he's been learning to tell people, I'm going, he's going for a walk and it's okay. So he's made a lot of changes. Next. This is a question that comes up often. I'm just going to touch upon it quickly. Parents often say, if I can't do this, how can somebody else do this? And I say to parents, this is because you've done a good job, that he's ready to move on. And adult children usually move out of their parents' home and start their lives, and it gives them new opportunities. And this is certainly what has happened for David and Joanne. And it's also, these are loving parents. It's time for them to just be parents and no longer have the responsibility of caregiver. It's a natural transition for people. And now David can learn from somebody else and learn new things. So Sundays is football days in Joanne's home, and it's a good thing for him. And also just to keep in mind that, I won't go into the detail, but Joanne and all CCH providers had to go through a very strenuous background check and training to be able to do what they do. Thank you. Next. Here's a shot of David with his mom. They still have a wonderful relationship. Next. Family is still as involved in any family. It can be as involved in the CCH life as they want. They visit the home. They used to go out before COVID. Hopefully they will be able to do that again. Next. David's been with this is Joanne's quote, and I should probably let her read it, but I'm not sure I trust my technology skills. Now let's let you all read it. Next. I'm going to leave you with a few of words of wisdom from what I've learned for doing CCH in Connecticut and other states for 17 years or so. Here we have a gentleman who had issues with change. Never underestimate people's capacity to change. People can live in different towns. They can go to different day programs. They can meet new people. It's a good thing, and change can be good. And again, anyone can do a CCH if we find the right match. Next. All set then. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And again, David and Joanne are here, and I'm sure they'd be more than willing to answer questions whenever. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. And thank you, David and Joanne in the background. And thank you for being willing to share your story. And thanks for sharing Laura's story as well. And I'll share that years ago, I heard Joanne do a presentation about, individuals, a couple that had lived separately and then created a life together within a CCH. And it's these stories that stick with you. And that's one of the reasons that we're providing these forums is we can give information, but really it's sharing of stories that I think really paints a picture around what these various supports have to offer. So thank you. Next, I am going to introduce Nasira Clayton. Are you with us?
Hi, yeah. Can you see me and hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you as well. Welcome. I'll turn it over to you and have you share your story. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. I am Nasira Clayton, aka Peggy, because my guys changed my name. They call me Peggy because they want to. So for myself, I'm married, and my husband had never, ever thought about CCH or any other thing. He works a whole nother ball game, and I've been working for developmentally disabled or challenged for 25 years. So I've worked in the private sector and in the public sector. So, that's how I found out about CCH. I was talking to one of my coworkers, and she was telling me that she has someone living in her home as a family member. And so I was like, well, having experience in this field, and I always looked at group homes are fine, right? I've experienced people in group homes that really wanted a family type of home and expressed that a lot, and I was like, I'm capable of that, and I had room. So long story short, I did that long process of applying for CCH, got the information, and lo and behold, here I am today. I have 3 individuals. I have had one for going on now 4 years. And when he met me, he called me Peggy. So I was like, Peggy, no problem. You cannot say my name, no problem. I'm going to be Peggy. And that's who I am. And the family members call me Peggy also. So I'm like, okay, it's something. So anyway, my guy John is the love of my life. I love John. He and I and my husband, we have traveled together, Myrtle Beach. He goes out he does the day program during the week. He's 71, so he does the day program for the older people, and he is such a delight. John is such a delight to me. His family are very much involved, and so we work as a village. So I had John, like I said, going on 4 years now, and we're close. And so I had more room. I have a house, and I said, I have more room, and there was twins that have been placed here. They're going on 1 year, Charlie and Tito, and all of us, their family, John's family, and my family, we're all family. We are a village. We're taking care of one another. And John and the twins get along famously. We all travel, we go out, we have a day where we all go to breakfast together. We have a day where we all go to lunch together, and then we travel together. We just did Great Wolf Lodge in Massachusetts. We had a ball. My friend fell down the tube, which was funny to them. So it was really nice. So we really have a good time together. We are family. I tell you this. I love this. I love taking care of people, and these guys are my family. And my husband, they go out. They love my husband, so they go out with my husband, do guide things. We have a huge backyard, and so I was like, these guys come from home. Like, they come from their parents' home, and their one comes from with his sister, and the twins come from their brother and sister-in-laws. And they all were used to pools. I don't swim. So I was like, okay, they want to put, I got a pool. I put a pool in the backyard for these guys so that they could swim and have a good time in the summer and have the things that they're used to. And let me tell you, we are like, I still don't know how to swim, okay, you all? I don't know how to swim. I'm getting a deck built so that they can get up there easily to get into the water. But yeah, it's really a wonderful, wonderful experience. My husband, who is at work, I wish he could be here, but yeah, it's a wonderful experience. And I still work at the state. I still work in the field. And I wouldn't change this for the world. I think that the opportunities for them are tremendous in a CCH home. I think that I know that we are family and we are village. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, Sunday, I had a fundraising banquet, and these guys had a ball. A ball. You hear me? And they met so many people. It was amazing. I really love it. So I just want to say this. I'm not pumping any gas. I tell you, this is one of the best programs, I think, out there when it comes to individuals that the families or whoever whoever wants placement. This is a very good program. So I would like to just say thank you, everyone. I was like so impressed with everyone that went before me, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Nasira, AKA Peggy, I am grateful for you. You know, sometimes on these Teams calls, you know, you see those little circles. I feel like we just had a cup of coffee and a conversation. You are obviously a spectacular family, and the amount that you care for those men is obvious. So thank you so much. All right, if you stick around, I'm sure that there may be some comments in the chat. They're already coming. And I'm going to introduce Sophia Foster. Sophia, are you with us?
I am.
Welcome.
Okay.
I will turn it over to you and you can share your story.
Okay. Let me see if I can turn this on. Camera on. Yes. My name is Sophia. I'm a CCA provider since 2018, but I didn't get my 2019, but I didn't get my young lady Angela until 2020 of June. And when she came to me for respite, actually, because she's not from Bridgeport, Angela said and it was time for her to leave after the respite program was ended. She said, no, I don't know where I'm going to go if they're going to treat me as good as you. So Angela really chose me. And then after we travel a lot, she's a very outgoing person. She loves to talk. She loves to go pumpkin picking. She loves the holidays. So we have to dress the house up and everything for the holidays and stuff like that for her. Take her to all her doctor's appointments. Take her to all her doctor's appointment and stuff like that. She's a cancer survivor. When she came to me, we didn't know she had breast cancer. Now she's cancer free, and I go on trips. So I go to Atlanta to business meetings and stuff. She's with me. We go to Jamaica. So we kind of travel all over. And then 4 months ago, Elise, one of my case manager with DDS, she called me and said, oh, Sophie, I have this, before I met Elise respite, had a young lady respite with me for a weekend. And then after I met her, she had another individual that they needed someone to stay with. And their thing was like, oh, the only person they'll trust with Bruni is Sophia. So Bruni is with me now 4 months. And she's really thriving. When she came, she, it wasn't the best of conditions where she was coming from. But now she'll tell you, I'm happy. I love you. She's hugging. She's, doing things like her personality is coming out. Angela and her get along really well because Angela is an outgoing person. Because when the first time she come in, Angela said, "Okay, good, more people to talk to," because she likes to talk and Bruni likes to sing. And Bruni likes to sing. So even though Bruni is nonverbal, so they're considered nonverbal because she only say yes or no. But she's like a bird, a songbird. So I take them like pumpkin picking last week and a ride, take them to Brandon Farm all the way in Torrington, because that's the first one that I took Angela family introduced me to. So I still take her there for the familiarity for her. So I took Bruni there and they both enjoyed themselves there, petting the animals, went shopping at the Walmart in Torrington because I like that one for their Halloween outfits. Yes, she does. She's an angel. Bruni is. She's thriving. Angela is doing good. And I'm proud to be a CCH provider. People ask me how I do it. I said it like I just heard somebody said it's not the work. It's just your heart. You have to have a good heart, to do. Because I also do home care. I'm a CCNA. So I love taking care of seniors. I love taking care of people. I remember I'm from Jamaica, and when I was small, even though I really don't celebrate Christmas the way everyone celebrated, because Christmas for me growing up in Jamaica was going to the infirmary, and the infirmary is a place where people with disability live. And I would cook and clean and wash for them when I was a child. My godmother would take me there. So that's how I spend Christmas and Easter. So, it's something that I feel like I was born for this. I was born for it and I love it. I enjoy every minute of my job with my girls living with me, having fun times. We have dance party. We go to Hershey's Park. We go to Philadelphia. Me and Angela's road trip, Albany, New York, up to my cousin's house, road trip. Any hours of the night I can touch my girls, and I take them, make nails appointment for them. They go out and have their nails done, all of that great stuff. Everything the same way you would treat your child, your family, your brother, your sister, your own babies. That's the same way, and that's all we have to do as caregivers going in. Family. It's all about family. It's all
Thank you,
about family.
Sophia.
Okay.
Sophia, I know you tried to put your camera on, but we can't see you. If I don't know if you can tap that, and while you do,
something.
okay, I just want to say I'm hearing some themes. Hugs are a big theme. There's just a lot of love and joy that is being shared, and I really appreciate you sharing your story and just really painting the picture of how your family has become this extended family. The other theme that is coming through is these adventures. I'm getting some ideas of, some fun fall trips, pumpkin picking and apple picking and traveling in these adventures. And it really is a great example of how CCH licensees open up their homes and their hearts and really create a wonderful, wonderful home for people. So thank you so much.
Yes,
And
thank you.
There's a
Thank you.
comment in the chat, Sophia, that says, Sophia is an amazing provider, grateful for you and all your love and dedication.
Thanks.
All right. I will turn it over. Jorge, are you on the call? Tim, do you know if Jorge is with us?
He is, and he's being supported by Elise, so we may just need a minute for them to connect.
All right.
Jorge, I'm here. If you can hear me, you just probably need to turn your mic on. I know you called in. I'm hoping that you're still on.
Joe, for a call, is it *6?
Yes, that's correct. So if you've called in, and I did mute everyone at the beginning of the meeting. So if you've called in and you are muted, I see someone has raised their hand. I'm not sure if that's the person who.
That's George. Yep, Jorge.
Okay. Oh, let's see. I'm so sorry. The hand actually has gone down since. I'm not sure if I'm seeing them. I apologize.
Jorge, can you hear me?
Hear me, George is here.
Okay, awesome.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So, to give a little bit of a background about George and his family, George became a DCF licensed or DCF foster parent and had an individual that was aging out in his home and qualified for services. So DCF and DDS worked together. So George is going to tell us a little bit about his experience, as we heard so much about the DCF process and how DDS is very different regarding CCH and how it's a matching process, not just placing people, but truly this has been a great match for the individual living in his home. So the first question I will ask for George is, George, can you tell us about your experience with DCF and DDS and how that's been so meaningful to the individual you have?
Yeah, well, it was, I can tell both of the departments, they were great. They have a very great social workers to support families and kids. I mean, DCF, I know they work to looking for families, protecting the most of the little kids, small kids. And DDS, they are the same way with the difference that they adults, and they looking forward to see their independence, safe and independent. So that's what I have experienced the difference between those two departments. But at the beginning, me and my wife, we were looking kids for adoptions, and for an accident, we went into the DCF department. So they explained about. So after we took the classes at the DCF, I think was like 4 months classes. So they changed our mind, saying that we have love, we want to share love, and we want to have the experience, helping these kids with special needs. So the more focus was to put them back into families. So that's why we always try to be in contact with these kids' families. Even though when we were with the pandemia, we took them in a car and go visit them, just say hi to their sisters and brothers, because they are a big family. They became from 7 brothers family, and they were all split apart, so all over the place. But all of their brothers had a big confidence with us. They like us each other, and we always, ask them to come and visit these people that we were helping them. So, and then we got in love with each other. Now they are very jealous. They treat me like as I'm his father, and my wife is their mother. So it's a very nice experience, and I couldn't imagine this was going to happen. But me and my wife, we are very grateful helping these kids.
Thank you, George. So every time my coworker and I are in the home, we can always feel and sense the love that George and his wife Carla share, and it's a mutual for the gentleman or the the boys and gentlemen that they support in their home. George, another question for you is, can you share with us some examples of the benefits of becoming a CCH licensee for the person that you support in your home?
Yes, we are open. We are open to help, to keep helping, these kids that they need help. And soon as we are healthy, we can help with the big benefit that, we, like I said, we were in love with these two kids, and it's Arturo from DDS that it's a big help for us and for him.
And you guys have really taken on the role of being an advocate for Arturo, but not just you advocating for him, but also encouraging and promoting him to kind of think about the future, planning for the future. Maybe you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure. That was, I have a small landscape business, so sometimes I take him to work with me every time, inspecting, being on the side. Sometimes I take him to help me painting. And I always try to explain him that what's good and what's bad. So we teach the respect, the discipline, and they love it. They love it being with us. They are very gentle. They are very respectful, and we have no complaints about for them to be in our home. Never. They free to do everything. They cook themselves. They go do the laundry. They fold the clothes, and Arturo is always looking forward to see some kind of what else can he experience, working. So his big dream is that to be something in the future, like a policeman, but we are always trying to, put something more like in a update him. Like he's very good at painting hair. Like he can be, some kind of a barbershop. So we always encourage, and he is looking forward.
That's awesome. Thank you. And one last thing is just a fun fact that I'd like to share that I truly appreciated when I came to this home, and my coworker and I, is that this is a multilingual home. So the individuals that are currently the DCF children, and also the individual that's supported in the home, are they able to maintain their heritage and culture within the home by maintaining their Spanish. But George's wife also speaks Portuguese, so they're also learning Portuguese. So it's also very interesting to see that and see how they embraced each other's cultural differences, but also just thrive as a family unit. So thank you, George, for sharing, and thank you everyone for letting us share our story with you and sharing your stories with us.
Thank you, Elise.
No problem.
And thank you, George.
It's a pleasure.
All right. At this point, I'd like to open it up to participants. If there are any comments, there's been some lovely comments in the chat, and I hope that the presenters can see the really fun, supportive, and inspired comments that are in the chat. But are there any questions for any of our presenters? Or as I mentioned, we also have DDS team members on the call from all aspects of CCH. So if there's questions about any of those roles as well. Comments? All right. We have a comment in the chat. How many residents reside in one home? I can answer. up to 3 individuals. I would, and I'll turn it over to our CCH managers. I think probably the majority of homes have maybe 1 individual or 2. Is that accurate?
Correct. Yep.
Any other questions? We have a hand up, Cindy.
Oh, Cindy, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry. My question is, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes. My question is, do the caregivers do all the duties and work, or do they hire other people to come in and take care of the residents?
Does one of the CCH licensees want to respond?
I can respond to that. This is Nastera Clayton, and I have John, and I have twins. Didn't want to separate them, you know. So I have 3, and when I have to go to work, and my husband has to go to work, we have a person that has been trained and get along with and love them. Also, we don't let anyone come in that is not like us. They're not getting in. So, yes, we do provide them with other caregivers, but we pick them, and they mostly are family. So, yeah, and that is a very good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Elise, this is Trisha. I'm Joanne, and I just wanted to share Joanne's perspective as a provider as well. So primarily Joanne is the caregiver for David in her home, but she does have trusted respite providers, but the majority of the care here is provided by Joanne.
Yeah, I do the showering, the laundry, because David's not capable of doing those things. So there are CCH providers that do provide that care if it's needed. There's different levels of care, and they're fit to the families depending on what the CCH provider is willing to do as far as care is provided for the individual.
Thanks, Joanne. And I think you answered one of the other questions. How many hours a week are providers expected to be providing care? And if a person is not in a day program but has a varied schedule, what support does the person and the provider have? So I think you responded to the question about what type of care and how many hours a week, and that would be part of the matching process based on the person's needs and the provider's ability. Do we have any information? I don't know if one of the CCH managers can speak to a situation where maybe somebody, as they're coming in, doesn't have a day program and how that has worked.
Hey, Lisa, it's Michael from the West Region. I'll venture a foray into that. I think, again, really we look to the individual situation to make a determination. And even still with an emergency respite situation, we would want to make sure that a licensee has the resources in place, or in very limited circumstances, we've also provided some additional one-time funding for some day support. So potentially there could be someone from the employment list that might be, willing and able to pitch in. We actually ran into this fairly recently where we just had a kind of situation where someone had an emergency and we kind of piecemealed it together, and so it definitely required a lot of team intervention and planning and strategy, but we were able to pull it off. So yeah, those situations situations, they do come up from time to time, and I think the key is always to keep the lines of communication open, work with your team, and we strategize to make sure that even in those instances where something unforeseen comes up, there's coverage. But for the most part, to Nasira, to Peggy's point, I have to say it, she, to her point, she's put together her natural supports, her husband, her family members, people that she trusts and knows, and that knows the folks that are living with her to provide those supports. So, we make it work. We really do. It's a really great program.
Mike, I'll just jump in and add on to that. We also have the capability to take day budgets and do private hire within the home. So you can have someone come into the home for a day program that would take the individual out during day program hours.
Thank you, Michael and Jill. And so similar, I think there's a team process and a case manager, and so there'd be some brainstorming in terms of what the best arrangement can be. Maybe sometimes in the short term, as well as whether while things are being put in place for the longer term. I'll look to the two of you as well. There's another question in terms of how does the financial piece work?
Jill, I guess I'll jump in if that's all right. So So, the great thing about CCH and what I really love expressing to the families that I talk to fairly regularly is certainly as they're looking to make plans moving forward, is that we're in a unique situation where CCH funding is almost always allocated in every circumstance. So if your family member or someone you know or care for is in need of that service and you feel it's appropriate and you want to work towards that match, and once that match is found, we're able to allocate funding, and it's a pretty unique opportunity that there's always other hurdles sometimes with other funding for other services. Whereas with CCH, it's pretty much guaranteed if we make the match and it looks good, we're going to move it forward and we're going to be able to allocate that residential funding. Jill, if you feel free to add on to that if you'd like.
Is that kind of what the question, it was how does the financial piece work? Steve, did that answer the question?
I guess that could be, yeah, that could be a loaded question, right? There might be some other pieces to that too.
Did that answer the question?
I don't know if Steve has a mic or if he wants to pop something into the chat.
Was also wondering about rep payee for Social Security.
Yeah, so Steve, just in most instances, these are licensed CCHs. So in most instances, the licensee would take over the responsibility for representative payee for the Social Security benefits. Along with that comes some oversight from our teams and documentation of financial transactions. Within that, there is also some payments that the individual will make to the licensee, what we actually define as rent. The individual will pay $500 towards rent, and then additional monies beyond that up until $341 they'll be able to keep as a personal needs allowance.
And Michael, there was a follow-up comment, if someone or guessing that a potential licensee would want to know what they would be paid. You want to talk about the stipends?
Sure. Yeah. And so again, this is a lawn-based utilization payment, and it's we have a service and support payment, which is, and those payments are specifically tied to each score, which is scored 1 through 8. So if we imagine that an individual has a lawn score of 1, their needs might be minimal and just little supports here and there, whereas a lawn 8 might be more significantly comprehensive in terms of medical and behavioral needs. And so as you can imagine, as we go up to more comprehensive needs, our licensees are paid more in turn. And that information we can actually drop that in the chat for you. There is also a rate sheet available. If you Google Connecticut DDS rates, it will pop up our guideline sheet, and you can see more specifically what those payments are.
I think that's a great suggestion. And then there are some questions. Are there age requirements for CCH providers? And what is the term or the contract and renewal frequency?
Wow, these are really great questions. So the first one, are there age requirements for CCH providers? So the quick answer is no, there are not. Obviously we do require our folks to go through some background checking through the licensure process. And part of that process is actually a consultation with the licensee's personal physician, which will then indicate to us, we're basically asking that question, is this person in good health and able to provide services? And so once that physician signs off, basically saying that from a medical perspective, that person is healthy enough to provide these supports, then that satisfies our requirement. Should that ever change down the road and we have a concern regarding someone and their ability to continue caring, we have the rights within our regulations to ask that particular licensee to provide a new medical certification in case down the line there's a problem. And that's quite uncommon because oftentimes I think people are cognizant of what their skills and abilities are, and the teams are there in place to support. And so I think typically we avoid that because there is some planning there if our licensees' abilities change as they age in place as well.
And Lisa Schwartz notes that you must be at least 18 years of age. So while there's no upper age limit there, you do need to be at least 18 years of age.
It's a good point.
And
it's a good point.
As far as the term people commit to.
Well, I think everybody's here has heard some of those stories about folks being placed for 35 plus years. So the term is what both parties are mutually agreeable to. I think in most situations, most folks are looking for long-term stability and they're looking for a long-term connection. And I think we aspire to do that and support that. Whenever we're engaged with our teams and matching individuals. So, separately, there might be an individual who is just taking a next step, moving from mom and dad's house and into the next step with a little bit support, but maybe a little bit more independence. And, that would be a very planful thing through a team process to look down the road and say, maybe, we're going to work on these skills and find this new employment or find, this new opportunity before we take that next step to perhaps more independent living. So again, these are very much a bespoke, this is an individualized service with, it's a wraparound, it's a 24/7 service. As Nasir had mentioned, she's got her family there to help support folks, with whatever they may need. And, the term is what you want it to be. The term is for as long as and short as you want to be. Conversely, we do have occasionally some licensees that are interested only in shorter term respites. And sometimes they're helping somebody out of a jam. Somebody is suddenly homeless or they've just recovered from a convalescence home and they're ready to take a next step, but that next opportunity isn't available for them. So really we're able to even from that perspective, individualize and customize how we execute CCH.
The questions are coming in fast and furious, and we're down to a couple minutes. So I appreciate some people are, and you've got backup, Michael, Jill, Tom, putting answers in the chat as well. But there's a great question. Thank you. There's a great question. What is the success rate compared with options such as group homes and apartments? And I would go back to that matching process. I think that's why that was emphasized in almost every one of the presentations. Really, the work is up front in terms of making sure that there is compatibility. And when you have people that are compatible, this option really is a long-term, very, very stable option. there is a parent that says he's interested, and I would say reach out to your case manager who will assist you. But as noted, there has been an ongoing initiative for CCH. And so for those families that are interested in CCH, there is absolutely the potential to move forward with that. And Dr. Ellis says, if you are interested, how soon should you start the process? I would say immediately. If you're interested, if you're a family member or an individual that's interested in learning more, reach out to your case manager. If you're somebody who's interested in providing CCH support, reach out to one of these managers who has been on the phone, on the call. They would love to hear from you. And they'll connect you, they'll provide you with information, and they'll connect you with these providers who are on the call as well. And so I think everyone who's presenting today, I know licensees have been willing to talk to people who are considering becoming a licensee and share their experience. I think everyone who's presenting today is doing so to share information, but also to be a resource. All right, it is after 4:30. There's one last question, and I don't know if this has been answered. Are there enough licensees to support demand? We are always looking for additional CCH licensees. There's been discussion that it is a process, and so it takes some time to get licensed. But if we're always interested in good people who are interested in providing CCH services. So I'm so glad that we've had this conversation. This session has been recorded. It will be available on our DDS website. On the cover page, you'll see Fourth Tuesday forums. And feel free to share that link. If you know somebody who would be a great licensee, refer them, share the link with them, refer them to one of the CCH managers. And if you know a family member or an individual who would really love to live in one of these home situations that have been so beautifully described, share the information, ask them to call their case manager, helpline, but please feel free to share the information, and we'll be happy to follow up. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.